Part 123. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1231. The ancient emperor himself definitely didn't know that he had fused 99% of Wu Yu's soul and would be able to provide such help to Wu Yu's sky-devouring body. But because, after all, the ancient emperor's foreign parts, immortals and gods, account for the majority, so apart from the balance between the two, there is not much involvement or mutual awareness. If Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body is equivalent to one of the ancient emperor's arms, the ancient emperor cannot control Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body. But because of his existence, the stronger he is, Wu Yu will not lose control and become a monster. Enter the devil's path. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. This is the only good news today. At least now, Wu Yu seems to be able to control his current body very well, and there is still a certain amount of room for devouring it. Moreover, whenever the ancient emperor became stronger in Wu Yu's true form, Wu Yu could feel it. Of course the ancient emperor could do it with his immortal gods. He knows better than Wu Yu. So when I first took control, there was a period of continuous breakthroughs. Although he didn't know how far he could reach it in a short time, he would probably know it if Wu Yu tried his devouring limit. In this way, my sky-swallowing body can quickly become stronger. This will make me qualified and capable to find a way to crack the heart-melting and body-seizing immortal method. After all, the ancient emperor did not really succeed. This huge heavenly palace in the immortal realm, there must be a way for him to get everything back. His devour and simulation are rampant in this endless fairyland. As long as he doesn't lose control, there will definitely be no problem. Now, Wu Yu even felt that there might actually be more terrifying room for growth here in the sky-swallowing body, especially if he maintained his sanity. At this time, we should stand on our feet. Taking back your body may not be easy. He still knows very little about this endless fairyland. Now, he possesses most of the knowledge about the great world of ancient Mo, and his understanding of the great world of ancient Mo far exceeds that of most indigenous people. If you want to get your body back, you may have to go to the 8,000 heavenly palace. However, if you want to enter the heavenly palace, the only way is to ascend to immortality. My current situation is special and I will definitely not be able to ascend, so I must find other ways to enter the 8,000 heavenly palace, such as, how did the ancient emperor go to Xuanhuan Tiangong this time? Just from devouring the memory of that person just now, he didn't know how to get to the heavenly palace other than ascending. The local gods in the Gumo world can stay in the country for a period of time, but in fact they only delay their ascension. Once they ascend, they cannot come down at will. Now we must calm down and move forward in a down-to-earth manner. Wu Yu knew very well that many things can be accomplished overnight without rushing. The rapid breakthrough from Gudi's side freed him from his mania and made him calmer and calmer. His goal, in summary, is this: become powerful, enter the heaven, find a way to break the mind-melting and body-seizing immortal method, take back everything, and kill the ancient emperor. Among them, the third and fourth steps are the biggest keys. But now, he must be stronger and must enter heaven. Calm. Calm. He was thinking back to the memory of the man he had just swallowed. Wu Yu knew about this person, in addition to the knowledge and memory about the ancient Mo world and several nearby worlds that he had acquired through the time lock during his hundreds of years of existence. There is also some knowledge about gods and ghosts. Understanding the realm of gods is very important to Wu Yu. Mortals need to understand a completed Tao before they can accept the great catastrophe of the immortal Dao. After success, a complete Tao can be integrated into the soul to become an immortal. Only then can there be a chance to ascend to heaven. The Yuan Shen who fuses Yao, and then merges with Zifu, and all the Yuan power of Zifu, will transform into an immortal god. The immortal god is the core of the power and mana of the immortal, and it is also the place where the spirit is melted. It can be said that it is everything to the immortal. Even if the immortal body dies, the immortal is still not dead. As long as there is a suitable container, the immortal can survive for a long time and even be reborn. The magic power of the immortals, called Xuanhuan, comes from the immortal gods. It is actually the immortality achieved after the fusion of the Yuan Shen and the Yuan Li of Zifu. The immortality can cast immortal magic and is infinitely powerful. It is not the same as Taoism. Realm. In addition to immortals, after experiencing the great catastrophe of immortality and forging successfully, you will also receive gifts from God. Your body will be transformed into the immortal body. The immortal body and the immortals are everything to the immortals. They are also the key to ascension. The immortals, the body of a mortal is far beyond that of a mortal. A mortal's body will be destroyed in body and shape in up to 600 years. However, after becoming an immortal, having the body of an immortal will directly have a lifespan of 1 yuan, 129,000 century. From 600 years to 129,600 years, you can know what kind of gap there is between mortals and immortals. This is also the difference between Wu Yu and Gu Di. It takes billions of mortals to become an immortal. The immortal God who combines Tao, Yuan Shen, and Zifu Yuan Li is the core of the immortal. The body of an immortal who has just become an immortal and has a lifespan of 129,600 years is the carrier of the immortal God. Minglong also lived for 1 yuan, but in fact it was completely different, because Minglong was basically sleeping during these times. If she hadn't been sleeping, she would have disappeared long ago. Because of this, although not all of the ancient emperors divided immortals are so terrifying. It is not a problem at all to crush the souls of mortals, and it is a miracle that Wu Yu can also cause some backlash. The lifespan of immortals does not end, but if they lose their immortal bodies. But it will be weak, easy to be killed, and hidden in other containers, it will not be able to exert its maximum effect. Therefore, the gods will not be willing to lose the body of the immortal, especially after the cultivation. The body of the immortal is also the key. Immortals naturally have to continue to practice. Becoming an immortal does not mean everything is settled. In fact, Wu Yu had a misunderstanding before. He thought that after becoming an immortal, he would live forever. But now he understands that this is not the case. The lifespan of a newly immortal is 1 yuan of time, rather than eternal life. Immortals can live forever, but they must also rely on their immortal bodies to exist. Of course, for him, $1 of time has been so long that it is unimaginable. Moreover, the person who was swallowed also knew a little bit about the details of the first immortal realm after becoming an immortal. Immortals also have realms. There are top immortals and ordinary immortals. There are also strengths and weaknesses. The 8,000 heavenly palaces, from the first to the 8,000th heaven, the higher up, the more powerful the gods become. The most powerful person, the legendary Jade Emperor, rules the heavenly realm of the heavenly palace. The first realm of immortals is called Immortal Realm. Immortality Wonderland, the beginning of the path to immortality, the pursuit of immortality. The Immortal Wonderland has 9 levels in total. Mortals have just become immortals and are in the Immortality Fairyland. Respected as celestial being. Having just become an immortal, he is the first level of the immortal realm and possesses the $1 lifespan, also known as the 1 yuan celestial being. In this fairyland of immortality, for every level of cultivation progress, one can gain 1 yuan of lifespan, which amounts to 129,600 years. Therefore, after reaching the second level of the immortal realm, he possesses 2-dimensional longevity and is called a 2-dimensional immortal. The total lifespan is 259,200 years. And so on. Reaching the 9th level of the immortal realm, possessing the 9 yuan lifespan, he is called the 9 yuan celestial immortal, with a total lifespan of 1,169,400 years. It exceeds 1 million, so it is also called the Million Immortal. 9 UN Celestial Being. He can live for 9 UN and have a lifespan of more than 1,000,000 years. Basically, as long as he is not killed, he is equivalent to immortality. This is longevity. Therefore, this realm is called Immortality Fairyland. But Wu Yu knew that the immortal realm was only the foundation for immortal cultivation. There would be immortals in several realms behind it, and that would be the real terror. It's a pity that this person's memory does not allow him to know the immortal realm in the future. Rumor has it that the full name of the Jade Emperor is, the Supreme Kaishan Holding Talisman Yuli contains the true physique Dao Haoshan Supreme Jade Emperor, Haoshan Golden Tower Supreme Natural Wonderful Maluo and the true Jade Emperor God. The Jade Emperor practiced Buddhism since childhood and endured hardships of 1,750 UN. Each UN was worth 129,600 years before he achieved the status of Jade Emperor. A rough calculation shows that it took 200 million years to achieve the position of the Jade Emperor. It is not known how long he will reign in the future. These records also come from the person just now. Wu Yu doesn't know whether they are true or false. For him, $1 is a long enough time to be scary. He is not yet 100 years old, so it is too scary for him to think about $1,750. So he doubted the authenticity. Of course, he felt that the matter about the immortal wonderland should be true. I wonder what level of the immortal realm the ancient Emperor Xuanhuan is in, and how many levels of heavenly immortal he is. Now, it's hard for him to know. In addition to the state of this immortal realm, Wu Yu also knew that in the immortal realm, one must practice an immortality method. The immortal method forges the immortal body and nourishes the immortal God, allowing the immortal body and the immortal God to grow together, from a 1 UN immortal to a 9 UN immortal. There are countless immortal methods, and there are good and bad ones. Each immortality method is at the 9th level, but because of the different types, their respective realms are different. A good immortal technique can be practiced faster, and the immortal body and immortal gods forged will be more perfect. This is a step for immortals to lay the foundation, so the immortal technique is extremely important. They are also 9 UN celestial immortals, but there is a huge gap in combat effectiveness due to different immortal techniques. Wu Yu guessed that maybe the indestructible body contained the immortality method. Maybe even the ancient emperor will soon use it to forge Wu Yu's body. Of course, the premise is that Wu Yu's body must become an immortal. With the ancient emperor's ability, it probably wouldn't be difficult. It's a pity that maybe I can't personally create my own immortal body and immortal god. But I will take it back, let's see. Knowing the realm of these gods will actually be of great help to Wu Yu's devouring and future. Please use the search engine to search for the keyword Yunlai Pavilion, the perfect anti-theft chapter, and various novels for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1232. Although ghosts, gods, and demons have different natures, the methods of cultivation and the essence of becoming ghosts, gods, and demons are similar to those of gods. The ghosts and gods attained enlightenment, merged into the soul, and then gathered the UN power of the Purple Mansion to achieve the ghost soul, which is equivalent to the role of immortals and gods. The demon god attains enlightenment, merges into the soul, and then gathers the UN power of the Purple Mansion to become a demon soul, which is equivalent to the role of an immortal god. Ghosts and gods achieve the body of heavenly ghosts, enter the immortal ghost realm, practice the immortal ghost path, and become 9 UN heavenly ghosts. The demon god achieves the body of a heavenly demon, enters the eternal demon realm, cultivates the eternal demon way, and becomes a 9 UN heavenly demon. The methods are different, the nature is different, but the model is completely different. In the great world of Gu Mo, the number of foreign gods and ghosts cannot be counted for the time being. They can be more or less, but Wu Yu now knows how many local gods, ghosts, and gods there are. There are about 100 local gods here. According to my memory, they should all belong to the immortal realm, because it is impossible for any immortal to surpass the 9 celestial immortal within 2000 years of the world. Even in the heavenly palace, it is quite difficult. Wu Yu still needs more memories to know how powerful these approximately 100 immortals are. But he estimated that the 8 demon gods in the ancient demon world should all be in the realm of 1 celestial demon, otherwise Wu Yu wouldn't have swallowed 8 of them. He is not a match for ancient Emperor Yan and Huang yet. As for the ancient Emperor Yan Huang, it should be impossible to surpass the 9 celestial immortal. In addition to the immortals, there are more than 30 ghosts and gods. The demon gods basically went directly to the demon god world without any time to stay. Of course, those 30-odd ghosts and gods are also in the immortal ghost realm. The number of such immortals and ghosts is actually not that many. According to the memory of the previous person, the Gumo Great World is a relatively weak one among the 3,000 great worlds. Although they are both great worlds, there are actually huge differences between them. For example, he has been to a great world. Also nearby is the Penkan Great World, which has thousands of immortals and more than 500 ghosts and gods. Of course, compared with the entire Tiangong immortal realm, Penkan world is nothing. Wu Yu came to the Gumo world in a hurry this time. He originally wanted to devour it like crazy, return to the Jamfu world, and fight for the body again, but it is no longer necessary now. The ancient emperor has already gone to Jinyuan Tiangong and has succeeded. Now is not the time to be anxious. Therefore, he decided to return to the ancient demon world, where Nanshan Wanjiao and the others were still nervously waiting for him. The ancient demon world has hidden dangers in the killing period, and they are all demons, which are not suitable for Wu Yu, Zhu and Su Yanli to survive and practice. Wu Yu is ready to bring them to this ancient Mo world. There is also Lord Netherworld, and Wu Yu is also planning to bring her here to practice. Unfortunately, the world of Jamfu is not very good now. The great world of Gu Mo allows them to have more than 10 times the possibility of becoming an immortal. Here, becoming an immortal is not a particularly difficult thing. Maybe here, every once in a while, someone becomes an immortal, and most people will choose to ascend directly. So, after calming down, Wu Yu directly opened the door to the ancient demon world and returned to the ancient demon world. Sure enough, the 5 of them were still nervously waiting for themselves. When they saw the white-haired and blood-eyed Wu Yu returning alone, they actually guessed it. But they didn't expect that Wu Yu was still calm. How? Wu Yu pursed his lips, and then told them the specific situation. It was a new level for him to describe such a thrilling and infuriating thing in such a calm manner. After finishing speaking, everyone was silent. Wu Yu lost his most precious body and his immortal inheritance. For a while, the 5 of them didn't even know how to comfort him. Because they know that if it were them, they would definitely not be able to bear it. Fortunately, there is still a glimmer of hope. You must have thought clearly about it yourself. I can't comfort you. I can only say that I will always accompany you in the next journey, whether it is to regain your body or to kill the ancient emperor. Okay, you can go to the 8,000 heavenly palace. I, Nanshan Wanjiao, will fight with you. Nanshan Wanjiao patted his shoulder. Brother you. But Yezixi still burst into tears. She didn't know what to do because she felt that Wu Yu must be in pain at this time. But in fact, Wu Yu has already spent that time. Sister. Fortunately, Wu Yu is still here. At first, Wu Yu didn't know much about monks. So a lot of the time, she felt like she couldn't enter Wu Yu's world and help them. Now, maybe you know a little more. But in fact, it is no longer a matter of cultivation, it is a matter of life. Do you remember the price you lost when you first ascended the throne? However, as long as you have goals and struggle, you will always have hope to regain everything that belongs to you. Duan Hunsen made you lose everything, but Ruyi Golden Cudgel allowed him to regain everything. Possession. Now that you have lost the Ruyi Golden Cudgel, maybe you can regain it by swallowing the sky. So, in fact, your heart is very strong. What direction is the road under your feet, and how can you control yourself? I think you should know better than us. Wu Yu and he grew up together, and Wu Yu has not changed much. He is still her persistent and smart brother. The two armies are at war. No one will always be the winner. Victory and defeat are common in the military. This time, just think of it as the territory being occupied, almost destroying the country and the family, but you also have the capital to make a comeback. As the saying goes, there are many talented people in Dongguo, and it is unknown whether they will make a comeback. In the future, it is still uncertain who will win or lose in the heavenly palace. Practicing Taoism is also a battlefield. Practicing immortality is even more of a battlefield. Sister, I know what I am doing. In fact, this battle can be regarded as Wu Yu's victory. The ancient Emperor Xuanhuan had a force of 100,000 soldiers, and set up a net to encircle Wu Yu's team of only 100 people. Normally, this team of 100 people would not have any survivors, but Wu Yu relied on a desperate counterattack. He almost destroyed the opponent. Although half of them died in the battle, the remaining 50 escaped under the siege of 100,000 troops. This is indeed a victory. In the future, there will be another opportunity for a battle. By then, Wu Yu will not be a team of 100 people. Maybe the opponent will have 1,000,000 troops at that time, but when Wu Yu also has 1,000,000 troops, let's see who will win. This metaphor is actually very appropriate. Wu Yu had figured it out a long time ago. Who doesn't experience hardships in life? He survived when he was hit by the soul-breaking powder. What's more, he still has the body of devouring heaven in his hand. How can a person become strong without tempering in failure? Next, I will settle you in the ancient Mo world, where you all have the hope of cultivating into immortals and demon gods, and I will also move forward for revenge. Wu Yu arranged. No problem, although I had no interest in cultivation before, but now I have come to this path. It would be good if I could go further. As for Dongguo, it's a pity that I can't govern it. The great cause of our ancestors has been cut off here. Thinking of this, Wu Yu felt a little disappointed. But she couldn't help it, she couldn't go back. Wu Yu put his arm around her shoulders and said, "One day, we will go back with dignity." Yambu world, that is Wu Yu's home. As long as the ancient emperor dies, he can certainly go back. Now, their goal is very clear. Wu Yu will take them to the ancient world of Mo, settle Wu Yu, Zhuying and Su Yanli there, and then Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi will follow Wu Yu to explore. Powerful, find a way to enter the heavenly palace. Of course, Wu Yu will have a large number of puppets, including those who have reached the 10th level of the Way, to protect them secretly. And no matter where he is, it is very convenient to return. He can go to the Star World at any time, and then go to the ancient world of Mo. It won't take long as Yu Ling cooperates. By the way, brother Yu, don't you go back to the world of Mo? Didn't you say before that Sister Lupin will pass the tribulation within 3 days? There are so many variables in the tribulation, and she has experienced such troublesome things. Will there be danger? It just so happens that the ancient emperor may not be in the world of Mo at this time, and you can say goodbye to her. Yezixi suddenly asked. Wu Yu remembered her last look. He shook his head and said, "Don't worry, she's fine, I'll disturb her and make her unstable." Wu Yu thought about it. He and her had said goodbye. In fact, there is no need to do it again. Send you thousands of miles away, you must say goodbye. Lingering will only increase the pain. She can be glorious in the heavenly palace. Now, Wu Yu doesn't want to disturb her. But, we have to confirm it, Yezixi said worriedly. Okay. Confirmed. In fact, Wu Yu was a little afraid to face it. He was afraid that after he went there, he would hear the news that Luo Bin was completely destroyed. That would be too tragic for him, so he would rather put this answer aside for countless years. He would rather believe that she would be able to overcome this difficulty and ascend. However, when Yezixi talked about it, he was still very eager. He found that he still needed to face it, even if she was dead, he needed to face it, instead of torturing himself for decades before understanding it all. But he still believed in Luo Bin. But the great calamity of the immortal way is more cruel than anything else. If you don't succeed, you will die, and Luo Bin has actually failed once. Will he fail again this time? Now, half a day has passed. Maybe, she is starting, maybe, she is fighting. Wu Yu took a deep breath and said, I'll go back and see for myself in 3 days. At that time, there should be a result. If she died, Wu Yu would be even more miserable, and he would lose more. But the world is so cruel, and there are not so many smooth sailing, so at this time, his heartbeat is actually stronger than anyone else. Don't worry, Nanshan Wanjiao patted his shoulder and looked into the distance. Everyone was silent, waiting for the answer to be revealed after 3 days, waiting for good news, or bad news. Luo Bin. Wu Yu whispered the name. In the picture, she still gave herself a smile in the immortal catastrophe. Please use the search engine to search for keywords Yunlei Pavilion Perfect Anti-Theft Chapters, various novels for you to watch. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1233. Wu Yu waited until 4 days later. Now that his original soul was weak and fell into a deep sleep, Wu Yu basically used the body of the Heaven Devourer as his original body. It was not as complicated as before, and seemed to be more pure. When he used the door to the ancient demon world as the key and the door to the world of Yama as the passage, he was a little bit uneasy in his heart. It was not because of the ancient emperor. It was not certain whether the original body of the ancient emperor would return from Jinyuan Heavenly Palace. He obviously could not stay in Jinyuan Heavenly Palace for a long time. Regardless of whether he returned or not, it would be difficult to deal with Wu Yu's current Heaven Devourer body without any threat, and Wu Yu could leave at any time. Moreover, after separating most of the immortal gods, his original body must have been much weaker. Wu Yu even had confidence. After a period of time, he was sure enough to return to the world of Yama and kill the original body of the ancient emperor who stayed here. The real uneasiness in his heart was waiting for that result. The result of whether Luo Bin became an immortal. He came to the world of Yanfu through the gate of the world of Yanfu, and appeared above the ancient country of Yanhuang. The fight at the level of gods and immortals did not bring any changes to the mortal world. Perhaps he is still Emperor Yu in the eyes of the Yanhuang people when he returns to the capital of gods. Obviously, gods and mortals are not at the same level, and mortals do not know that such a major change has taken place in the world of Yanfu. Wu Yu went all the way to the East China Sea. Sure enough, the ancient emperor should not have returned from the Jinyuan Heavenly Palace. In the past 4 days, Wu Yu's swallowing body has become more and more relaxed. He estimated that the other party has made a significant breakthrough with his own body, and even passed the tribulation. The gods and immortals continued to grow, resulting in Wu Yu's current swallowing space being quite high. He was very sober, but he did not feel too hungry. Seeing a beauty, he would not lose his composure as before. This means that as long as there is an enemy that can be swallowed, he will become quite powerful in an instant. But he was still nervous and uneasy. He was getting closer and closer to the East China Sea and the Four Seas Dragon Palace. The sea was very calm. There are few monsters in the Eastern Sea, but there are many ordinary fish and shrimps in the ocean. A large number of fish and shrimp swim in the seabed, seemingly free, but in fact they are full of murderous intentions. Big fish eat small fish, and small fish eat shrimps. The ocean world is even more of the law of the jungle. And this rule applies to the entire Tiangong fairyland and the 8,000 Tiangong. But he was still in a mess. Because of fear. Fear, Luo Bin failed. The great calamity of the immortal way, this is uncontrollable, he can't help at all. Can only wait for an ending. If she failed. This blow is naturally heavier than Wu Yu losing his body. And it is much heavier. His body still has great hope, but if she dies in the great calamity of the immortal way, it means she is gone forever. Maybe Wu Yu will feel that he will lose more than half of his life. The closer he gets, the more afraid he is, and the more hesitant he is. Later, even his breathing almost stopped. In the past, Ming Long was beside him, talking to him and distracting him, but now he was alone. Forget it, the results are out anyway, so why not just reveal them? He couldn't stand the torture of fear, and rushed all the way to the Four Seas Dragon Palace. He started at the fastest speed, and soon after, the 9 mysterious heavenly dragon forbidden immortal formation appeared in front of Wu Yu. Luo Bin. Wu Yu stood in front of the formation, feeling anxious, and roared in a low voice. For a short time, no one responded to him, but there was a slight movement inside, and it was obvious that someone heard it. Wu Yu could almost hear the sound of his own heartbeat. Puff puff puff. The whole world seemed to be silent. His eyes widened, and suddenly, it seemed that the whole world had lost its sound. Who? The clouds and mist in front of him changed, and the formation became transparent. Behind the formation, some dragons appeared, and the leading dragon changed. It was no longer Luo Bin, but the refining god demon dragon. Behind him, there were still 7 elders, and then other dragons of all sizes. This at least shows that the great catastrophe of the immortal path has already occurred. Wu Yu could even smell the smell of disaster. Where is Luo Bin? Wu Yu held his breath and looked at them. Judging from their faces, some of them were disgusted and hated him, but they did not seem to be sad. Wu Yu, you are not dead yet, you are the great enemy of my dragon, and you dare to come to my Four Seas Dragon Palace. Do you really not take us seriously? The ancient emperor will appear soon and kill you completely. The refining god demon dragon gritted his teeth. I ask you, where is Luo Bin? Wu Yu roared. Now, he is the man standing at the top of the food chain. His roar shook the 9 mysterious heavenly dragon forbidden immortal formation and brought the refining god demon dragon and others an extremely huge shock. The refining god demon dragon was indeed frightened by his white hair and bloodshot eyes. They still remembered that Wu Yu had fought with the ancient emperor a few days ago, in this body now. Therefore, even if they were in the Four Seas Dragon Palace, they were a little scared. But in fact, Wu Yu could not get in now without the somersault cloud. You should just give up. One day ago, our Dragon Lord had already succeeded in attaining enlightenment. Now he has ascended to heaven and has become a celestial being. It is impossible for you to contact her again. I think you should just give up. From now on, you will never meet again. A toad wants to eat swan meat, it's a dream. Shameless. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. How could our Dragon Lord be with your enemy? Give up, she only wants to kill you. The dragons shouted and cursed together. But what they didn't expect was that when they shouted and cursed, Wu Yu was laughing. Because he had already got the news he wanted. He turned and walked away, laughing at Canghai. He didn't rush to leave, but went in the direction of Yanhuang ancient domain. She succeeded. I don't know what kind of disaster she went through. She did transform and completed the most important step in her life. She succeeded, and she will have a bright future in the future. This alone is enough to make Wu Yu happy. He was really happy for her. No matter whether he succeeded or failed in the future, at least she was good. That was enough. He knew that no matter what, she would never give up the oath of meeting in the heavenly palace. So, he couldn't give up even more. Excitement and surprise filled his heart. A few days ago, he just had an extremely strong goal, which was revenge. And now, another goal, meeting in heaven, is also burning. His desire for the goal is similar to the desire for devouring, or the desire for reproduction. In the ocean, he advanced a long way, letting the cold sea water hit his body, and his mood gradually calmed down. He knew that he should embark on the journey. Because she has already struggled forward, he obviously cannot fall behind. After all, he is a man. Moreover, the ancient emperor is also making crazy progress with his own body. He is going to return to the world of Yanfu, and then go to the world of Gumo with a group of people. Before going, he also wants to bring Lord Yalang, who is also his best friend. Before Wu Yu went to the Beiming Empire, he had already told her roughly what happened through the connection between the two. Wu Yu is not dead, so she can live. Actually, I've been feeling uneasy these days, but I didn't expect something to happen. Wu Yu asked her, if you stay here, it won't be a problem for you to succeed your father and become the new emperor of Beiming in the future. If you follow me, I'll take you to the great world of Gumo, where you have at least 10 times more chances, and you can also come back. What do you choose? Lord Yalang had tears in his eyes and said, of course I'll follow you. It's boring here, and I want to go out and see the big world outside. I'll discuss it with my father, and he will definitely agree. And the key is that if she doesn't want to stay, she can come back here, and it won't be difficult for Wu Yu to send her back. Not long after, Lord Yalang sent a message that her father had agreed. She knew how to tell Emperor Minghai, and she wouldn't reveal the dispute between Wu Yu and the ancient emperor, otherwise he would be scared to death. After Wu Yu arrived at the Beiming Empire, Emperor Minghai personally sent his daughter out. In the night wind, Lord Yalang was wearing a black long skirt, and her dark green eyes were deep and calm. Wu Yu was familiar with every part of her body, which was indeed incomparably beautiful. Emperor Yu, I will hand my daughter over to you. You must take good care of her, Emperor Minghai said. Daddy, you are so worried. I am going out to see the world, Lord Yalang said coquettishly. Okay, I don't care about you young people. However, Dad has less than 100 years of life left. Remember to come back to see me once before I die, so that I can know whether you have become an immortal. Emperor Minghai shed tears. He was still a little reluctant. However, he must send Lord Yalang away, because this is a chance to become an immortal. That is his dream. Unfortunately, it seems too difficult to achieve it now, and he sees such a good fortune in his daughter. Be good to her, Emperor Minghai said to Wu Yu. Dad, Lord Yalang's face turned red because of what he said, as if Wu Yu was going to elope with her. Don't worry, Wu Yu also thought that she had a better chance in the ancient Mo world, and he was willing to provide a better opportunity for his friend. Without further delay, we'll leave first. Don't worry, it must be very convenient to come back, Wu Yu said to him. In fact, Wu Yu had one more sentence to say. The next time he came to the Yama world, it might be the time for him to come back and kill the ancient emperor's body first. This time, the ancient emperor happened to be away. But next time, he would send him to the west. After that, it would be very convenient to come back. After the farewell of Emperor Minghai, Wu Yu took Lord Yalang and prepared to go to the ancient demon world. He looked to the south, and Nangong Wei must still be in Nanyan demon continent. It's a pity that I can't take her with me. First, he was too entangled with her. Second, Huangzun would not allow him to take her away. Moreover, she would not go with him. So, forget it. Please use the search engine to search for the keyword Yunlei Pavilion. Perfect anti-theft chapters, All kinds of novels for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1234. Returning to the ancient demon world, the team became 7 people. When Nanshan Wanjiao and the others saw that Wu Yu had also brought Lord Yushun, they knew that everything was alright with Luo Bin. If something happens, Wu Yu, who has suffered heavy blows one after another, will not take Lord Yushu with him by the way. There are 7 people in the team, all young people, 3 men and 4 women. Of course, Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi are at another level in terms of realm and combat power, so their future paths will be different for the time being. Wu Yu and the others might quickly become immortals or go to the 8,000 heavenly palace. As for them, Wu Yu will keep them in the world of Gu Mo, waiting for the opportunity to become immortals. Wu Yu, Zhu, Lord Yuxun and Su Yanli are also young people. Among them, Lord Yuxun is currently the most accomplished. Wu Yu brought her with him in the hope that she could take care of the other 3 people in the world of Gumo. At least, in the great world of Gu Mo, and with the huge resources Wu Yu gave them, they still have a good chance of becoming immortals, especially Lord Yuxun. Wu Yu had already told them his plan. The 4 of them naturally knew that Wu Yu had his own goals and could not stay in one place forever. They are now full of yearning for the great world of Gu Mo. It was different from the ancient demon world. The ancient demon world had magnificent mountains and rivers. But there is no established social structure, they are all monsters like beasts, and they cannot yet transform into human form. There are also demons in the ancient Mo world, but they are the same as the demons in the Jambu world. When Zhu went there, he was actually considered a rare bloodline. However, because there are no demon gods, the status of demons in the world of Gu Mo is not particularly high. Let's go. For those of them who were born in the world of Jamfu, even Nanshan Wanjiao had never been to the world of stars and the world of Gumo, so they were quite excited. Wu Yu took out the Star World Gate. Then, he led everyone through space. Just like when Wu Yu came to this world for the first time, when they saw this magnificent world of stars, the colorful stars in the sky, and the 5 huge moons, they all made a sound of wonder, especially the 4 women. It's so beautiful. If it weren't for this world, where there was only Xingyun and no spiritual energy, I would have stayed here, Yezixi said with eyes shining. It's really beautiful and wonderful, especially the 5 moons. I used to be in the small country of Suqiao. I really didn't know that there was such a magnificent world outside the sky. In general, this vast celestial palace and fairyland are very important to Wu. The impact of worry is the greatest. Lord Yuxun looked at Wu Yu. She knew that without Wu Yu, she would be unlikely to see such a world. It's impossible to know so much. Thinking back on it, maybe using the soul-controlling blood formation in order to survive was really the right decision. There are also Zhu and Su Yanli. In fact, they are both from Dongsheng Shenzhou, and their experience in the beginning is smaller than that of Lord Yuxun. So the shock in my heart will be even greater. The world of stars, like the world of Jambu, is one of the 90,000 small worlds. Next, we are going to one of the 3,000 great worlds, the great world of Gumo. Although it is not as beautiful, it will be more magnificent. Seeing their satisfaction made Wu Yu happy. At least, it was as he thought before. He wanted Wu Yu to have a long life like him, he wanted people who had helped him, and he wanted his friends to have such a day. Now, he did it. The only pity is that Feng Xiya, whom he wanted to repay most, turned out to be a pity. Fortunately, Su Yanli is still there. She is the apprentice that Feng Shuya takes care of like a daughter. If he takes good care of her, maybe their master will be comforted by Jiquengxia. A group of them came to the Yu sword section. Wu Yu didn't rush in rashly this time. He gave Yu Ling some face and went directly to ask for an audience. At the door of the Yu sword sect, he said inside that he was here. Look. Seeing Wu Yu in this state, everyone in the Yu sword sect was very nervous. Before 10 breaths had passed, Yu Ling came roaring here, his face flushed, he looked at Wu Yu anxiously and angrily, and said, "You didn't you go to Gumo world? Why?" She thought she would be clean in the future, but when she saw Wu Yu again, she was actually filled with fear. "I'm sorry, I want to bring some relatives and friends there this time, so I have to trouble you again." "Don't worry, I still just want to go to the Gumo world and it won't affect you." Wu Yu controlled himself this time, so he was very worried. "Speak politely to Yu Ling." Yu Ling was naturally conflicted. What happened last time made her feel particularly ashamed when she thought about it later. Fortunately, Wu Yu had completely left, but now he has reappeared, and will even appear more often in the future. She didn't know how to describe her feelings. "Sect Master, I'm sorry to bother you. This is a gift for you." Wu Yu picked out a heavenly spirit Taoist artifact from the Sumuru bag. It was a necklace. It was as bright as a star and was very beautiful. After taking it out, many star tribesmen they were all amazed. "After accepting the gift this time, we should be considered friends." "Sorry, I need to trouble the sect master one more time." Wu Yu was very sincere and put the purple star on her delicate hand. The leader of Tang Tang Yu sword sect was so embarrassed in front of Wu Yu that he didn't even know what to say. Sister Yu Ling I also came. She also knew what happened last time. At that time, Yu Ling was very strange when she came up. She thought something had happened, but after asking carefully, she found out that nothing happened. But she felt that it shouldn't be like this. Now that the two met again, she wondered if Wu Yu had done something bad. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. But she was also afraid of Wu Yu. "Come with me." Yu Ling coughed, calmly put away the spiritual weapon of that day, and then tried his best to keep a straight face to maintain the majesty of the sect leader, then turned around and headed towards Xuanhuan Valley. "Thank you, Master." Wu Yu led everyone. "Follow him quickly. Something's wrong, something's wrong. These two beauties are both interested in you. Especially the sect master, his heart beats faster when he sees you. Have you done something bad to her?" Nanshan Wanjiao asked suspiciously as they followed. "The eyes are particularly lewd." "Don't talk nonsense. Tisk tisk, based on my research on beauties, there must be some. I firmly believe it." "You can't tell, old Wu. He is quite serious at ordinary times, but you have good luck when no one is around." Nanshan Wanjiao unfolded his beauty folding fan, tisk tisk. Smiled. "Nonsense, brother Yu is not a dissolute person like you," Yezixi said. "Oh, you little girl, you don't know his true face." "I know your true face. In fact, Wu Yu and the other four have relatively quiet personalities, and even Zhuiying is easily shy, but Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi are different. Talking and laughing like this has somewhat relieved the previous serious atmosphere. They all know that, get on the road with ease." "Sister, Wu Yu, did he really not do anything to you?" Yu Ling I asked quietly. "I told you, no, don't talk nonsense. No, what I mean is, if so, don't let him go. You see there are so many women around him, they are all vixens. You have to use your charm to keep him. I think you are better than they look, much better." "Don't talk nonsense," Yu Ling said angrily. "Okay." Yu Ling I stuck out her tongue. Looking back at Wu Yu, he couldn't help but sigh. When they arrived at Xuanhuan Valley, Yu Ling and Yu Ling I went in together this time, followed by Wu Yu and 7 others. Yu Ling I kept looking around, as if to find out whether Wu Yu had left any traces of crime here last time. However, she found nothing, and the entrance to the passage was reached. "Sister, I also want to go to Gumo world to see it." "Stop talking nonsense. There is no Xin Yun there. There is no possibility of you becoming an immortal there. You are not allowed to go. All right. Yu Ling I could only watch as Wu Yu and his group entered. Sect Master, if I want to trouble you next time, I will come directly to you. Don't worry, there won't be so many people next time. When Wu Yu left, he turned around and said to Yu Ling. Next time, Yu Ling was depressed. Sure enough, he would come again. A little repelled, but also a little strangely happy, so I felt particularly torn. Could it be that you have fallen in love with him? Yu Ling I suddenly came up to him and said. Shut up. Yu Ling was annoyed. Take out that gift and look at it. It's a token of love. Yu Ling I said slyly. Didn't you have a sword last time? That's different. You lied to me. This man is so sincere, why do you keep lying to him? Passing by the Star World again, we finally arrived at the Guemo world. Compared with the Star World, the Guemo world may not be as gorgeous, but it can be summarized in a few words. That is, magnificent, magnificent, vast, solemn, and serious. The whole world is extremely strict. The whole world is extremely solid and real. Of course, the most obvious difference is the spiritual energy. They all arrived in the ancient demon world first and felt the spiritual energy several times better than that in the Jamfa world before coming here. It can be considered a transition. The concentration of spiritual energy in the great ancient Mo world, even in this wild place, is 10 times that of the ancient demon world. That is equivalent to dozens of times the world of Jamvu, which is also equivalent to dozens of times the possibility of becoming an immortal. When they first came to this world, not to mention Zhu and the 4 of them, even Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were a little unable to adjust. After all, the star world they were in before was a place extremely lacking in spiritual energy. It was like arriving from hell to heaven. This world is simply a miracle. Zhu was not good at words, but he described it well. For him, it is indeed a miraculous place. With his bloodline, it is quite possible to become a demon god in the future. Moreover, Wu Yu's arrival this time was different from last time. Last time, the black sun set in the west and the golden sun rose in the east. But this time, there is no golden sun, only a black sun. The black sun is in the sky. The black sun does not spread light, but absorbs it. Therefore, with their eyesight, they didn't need much light originally, but the whole world was still quite dark. Like a mortal in the dark night. Madman has gone through the college entrance examination twice. Regarding the college entrance examination, when I think back to those days, I feel very scared and dare not go through it again. The college entrance examination is very important. I hope everyone can take it well and show their strength. I and other readers are silently supporting everyone and wish you all the best. Please use the search engine to search for the keyword Yunlai Pavilion, the perfect anti-theft chapter, and various novels for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1235. The latest chapter of the fastest swallowing record. The sun, moon, and heavenly palace, what Wu Yu saw, were similar to the ancient demon world and the world of Yama. The star world, the Xuanhuan world, and the current ancient Mo world are all different. There is no moon in the ancient Mo world, only the black sun and the golden sun. When the golden sun is in the sky, it is daytime, and when the black sun is in the sky, it is nighttime. The night here is darker because the black sun is obviously absorbing light. Even if all the people in the ancient Mo world practice Taoism, they will be greatly affected by the night. For example, now, if Su Yan is far away from them, he can't see far at all. Only Wu Yu can move freely in such a dark night without creating light. He knows that generally when the black sun is in the sky, that is, in the dark time of the ancient Mo world, people here rarely go out. It's a bit like the mortals in Dongguo. If you don't light a candle at night, you can't go out at all. In this ancient Mo world, even if you light a candle or use other things that can flash, most of the light will be absorbed by the black sun. Therefore, the darkness of the ancient Mo world is not very convenient, so few people are active at night now. The so-called dark night, high wind, murderous night is just like this. There is a city called July City near here. It is very large, with more than 3 million people. It is ruled by the city lord and is much more stable than the wild. The spiritual energy is also rich enough. It is not far from here. I will arrange you there first. You can practice Taoism and enlightenment here, and you can also make many friends. Of course, they have no objection to Wu Yu's arrangement. At Wu Yu's speed, it takes less than a quarter of an hour to get here from July City. If something happens to them, he can use the Star World gate to directly reach the Star World, and then come here through the Moon Spirit, and then go to July City, which may be faster than Wu Yu's return from other places in the ancient Mo world. Moreover, July City is indeed a huge city that meets their various needs for cultivation and becoming immortals. Everything can be traded and purchased here, and the spiritual energy is dozens of times that of the Yama world. Even the Lord of Yalang in the underworld is far from such a cultivation environment. Wu Yu will tell them all the basic knowledge about the ancient Ink world. With their understanding and Wu Yu's help, they should grow quite fast. All the land in July City belongs to the city lord. His ancestors built the city and passed it down to this day. If you want to live in July City in a stable way, you can either live in a more expensive inn, or a better way is to buy property directly from the city lord. Of course, you can't buy it permanently, you can only buy it for a certain period of time, such as 10 or 50 years. Within the purchase period, those properties belong to us. Basically, there are protective magic arrays under our control. And buying the city lord's property can also get its protection. At least we are in the property and others have no right to break in. All of this Wu Yu knows comes from the person he devoured before. This is the social structure of the ancient Ink world. This place has not developed into a cultivation empire like the Yanhuang ancient domain, but like the Dongsheng Shenzhou, it governs the world in the form of a section. There are many sects here. The top sects are definitely controlled by gods or ghosts. Outside the sects, there are also people who build cities, which are protected by the sects and can be passed down. The cities are large and small. The large ones are relatively stable, while the small ones are towns and villages. Basically, some cultivators build them together and are at risk of being annihilated and plundered at any time. July City is a large city with a long heritage and protected by the slaughter god religion. The leader of the slaughter god religion is a ghost. Although he is a ghost, there are still many cultivators in July City, and the Lord of July City is also a cultivator. The power of ghost cultivators in the Gumo world is slightly weaker. But they are not easy to provoke if they stand together. There are many cities like July City in the Gumo world. In the future, they will have a foundation in July City, and it will be easy to integrate into the society here. Wu Yu led them to the direction of July City. They could not see anything until a huge black shadow appeared on the horizon in front of them. It was boundless, and they realized that July City had arrived. At night, the city gates are completely sealed, and the city defense formation has been opened. We can't go in for the time being. We will go in when it's dawn. Let me tell you about the common sense of this world first. After all, to keep the four of them here, Wu Yu must let them integrate into this place. It is better to know some simple things, otherwise people will be suspicious. Wu Yu didn't want them to stay at home every day. To practice Taoism, you need to communicate with others. The four of you, Lord Yalang, also listened very seriously. The black sun gradually went to the west, and the golden sun gradually rose to the east. When the golden sun completely jumped out of the horizon, the world began to light up, and July City gradually became clear. You can see that the heavy city gate, which is dozens of feet high, is slowly opening. Then, the city guards came out and stood guard at the gate. People began to come in and out of the gate. They were all cultivators. Most adults were at the Yuanshen realm and the Dao realm. There were top-level masters everywhere. With Su Yanli and his people's strength, they were considered quite weak here. Fortunately, most of the people in this Gumo world were the same as those in the Yanfu world, and there was no big difference. Wu Yu and his group of 7 also went there. He knew that the city guards did not check much. Unless they needed to be wanted, they would stay here just to prevent riots. There are many of these city guards who have reached the realm of asking questions. They are all brave and good at fighting. Of course, they are arrogant because they can serve the Lord of Julai City. People who come and go don't dare to provoke them. Julai City is quite huge. Although it is not as big as the capital of gods, it is basically the same as the underworld. On the walls, there are densely packed magic arrays. This is a city built entirely by magic arrays. In fact, the protection of the city has nothing to do with the rock walls. The treasures left by the ancestors of the Lord of Julai City are actually these magic arrays. Wu Yu and his group are all young people with different looks, which are still quite attractive. When they walked over, even the city guards looked at them a few more times. However, because the leader Wu Yu was a little scary, they didn't dare to come up and cause trouble. After all, there are often big figures here. Some of them are very low-key. But if they provoke them, I'm afraid the lord of the city will not be able to save them. After so many years, they have learned to be smart. They will never provoke strange people. Therefore, although there were a lot of beauties in the team, the city guards and other onlookers still held back. Wu Yu walked into Julai City and saw that the scale of the magic array in the city had exceeded that of the Hades city and was about the same as the God city, but this was an ordinary big city. Although it was not as big as the God city, it was built in a place where spiritual energy exploded. There must be spiritual veins gushing out from the ground, which led to the concentration of spiritual energy here being dozens of times that of the God city. This was the biggest difference between here and the God city. It was also the reason why Wu Yu brought them here. Usually, there are 3 million cultivators in this city. They have enough opponents to train and grow slowly. They can participate in various activities and trials. There are also a large number of cultivators to communicate with. In addition, Wu Yu gave them huge cultivation resources. Putting them here, Wu Yu was quite relieved. When he first came here, he shuttled through various streets and saw various shops selling Taoist instruments, immortals, elixirs, treasures, talismans and other treasures, as well as various inns where he could stay at night. Wu Yu felt like he was back in the God City. It was indeed very lively here. There are especially many inns. That's because there are dark days here at night, and it's extremely dark. If you fall into the streets at night, you won't know who killed you in the darkness. Murders and treasures happen everywhere, and the city guards can't patrol at night, so there are often some corpses on the streets after dawn. If you don't have skills and money, you can't stay in such a big city. After Wu Yu came in, he had to find a place to stay first, so he went to a place called Black Jade District Palace Planning Hall. He is now in the Black Jade District of Julai City. Here, the defensive array built by the ancestors of the city lord, which is sold to the monks to live and practice, is called palace, that is, real estate. Wu Yu now wants to buy a palace. And the place to buy is this palace planning hall. Of course, he wants to buy the best. The palace planning hall is very large. It is the most magnificent building he has seen since he came in. It is magnificent and symbolizes wealth. Those who can own a temporary palace in Julai City have certain abilities, so when he led a group of people in, thousands of people came to greet him immediately. He was a young man in purple robes, handsome, young, and at the 10th level of the Yuanshen realm. He was very smart at first glance. Being able to work in such a place also showed that his family might be very wealthy. He locked onto Wu Yu, who had white hair and bloodshot eyes, and made him feel a little scared, and asked, "Sir, do you need to buy a palace when you come to the temporary palace planning hall today?" Wu Yu nodded. This young man is very experienced. In fact, he knew that this deal would definitely be successful at first glance. Because Wu Yu came in a dusty and impressive manner, everyone in the team was very dignified and had a lot of wealth at first glance. "My name is Wang Yan Wu. I am this minor official. Sir, do you know anything about the properties sold by our city lord? I wonder what type you need?" "Well, basically you get what you pay for. The highest priced ones have the best protection arrays and are the safest. The city lord will also personally send people to patrol and not allow scoundrels to enter. For example, the palace of our Julai Central City is closest to the city lord's mansion. Read refreshing novels at You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1236. The latest chapter of Swallowing Heaven Record is updated the fastest. Wu Yu was too lazy to listen to his introduction. He knew something about this place and said, "I want this Wangpan Palace in Julai Central City for 100 years. Ah, the young Wang Yan Wu almost screamed, his face trembling, as if he had swallowed a duck egg. Today's business is amazing. He hurriedly said, "Your Excellency is really good at vision. I will take you in right away. The Wangpan Palace in Julai Central City is indeed the best in our Julai city. The cultivators there are all top cultivators, and all of them are in the realm of Taoism. On weekdays, there are also some Taoism discussions, as well as junior competitions, etc. Outsiders can't even enter your Wangpan Palace, let alone Julai Central City. Even the cost of 100 years is indeed more expensive. Money is not a problem, get it done for me quickly." Wu Yu was full of pride. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Okay, sir, you are really generous. When Wang Yan Wu met such a rich and powerful person, he was in a good mood and was very efficient. The Lord of Julai City never investigated the details of this business, because he knew very well that the more powerful the person, the less willing he was to be investigated, so Wang Yan Wu would not ask about Wu Yu's details. Soon, the formalities were completed, and Wu Yu got the control array core of the Wangpan Palace. The palace numbered 978 will be theirs within 100 years. "Sir, please give your palace a name." "We will enter the information." Wang Yan Wu looked at Wu Yu enviously. "Kishan." Wu Yu wanted to say Kishan Mansion. But suddenly he thought that the inheritance of the great sage Kishan was gone now. Kishan Mansion. "Let's call it Tunshan Mansion." Wu Yu changed his words. So domineering, Wang Yan Wu thought sincerely. Swallowing Heaven Mansion and Kishan Mansion are indeed not the same realm. One is just equal to the sky, and the other is to swallow the sky. "My lord, I will take you to Swallowing Heaven Mansion and lead the way for you. This is my communication talisman. If you have any problems in the future, even if they are some small problems, you can find me. I will definitely help you. If you need to run errands, just call me." He can get a lot of promotions after this deal, so he is particularly happy. This money may allow him to break through to the realm of asking questions. In fact, don't think that he is just a clerk. Being able to work for the Lord of Julai City is actually a symbol of status. When he goes out, other cultivators have to be respectful to him. Wu Yu chatted with him for a few words and felt that this person was not bad, and he was familiar with Julai City. In the future, if Lord Yaolang and others have any questions, they can indeed find him. However, in front of Wu Yu, he was extremely humble and lowered his posture. He personally led Wu Yu and others to the Julai Central City. This Julai Central City is equivalent to a city within a city. It has a top-level protective magic circle, and only the cultivators living in it can enter. Compared with other palaces, this one is indeed top level. Many subordinates of the July City Lord actually live here. The Tiantian Mansion is very large, larger than the Heart Temple. It has a vast area with mountains, rivers, and farmland, where immortals can be planted, and there are also several large palaces. It is a very good place for cultivation. Will you let the control core of the Tiantian Mansion be refined by the Lord Yaolang and let her control it? It's really good here, and the spiritual energy is so rich. We stay here, so you can go out and explore with confidence. Wu Yu is very satisfied with this place. This place is indeed better than the ancient demon world. There is not even a person in the ancient demon world, and it will be suffocated sooner or later. Here, you can get the protection of the July City Lord by spending money, and there is such a vast place. They each chose their own palace. It is too spacious for 4 people to live here. Wu Yu checked the protective array, which was indeed top-notch. It was estimated that anyone below the 7th level of the Way of the Dao would not be able to force their way in, and it would take at least a long time to crack it. Of course, Wu Yu did not rely on this protective array to ensure their safety. He left all the puppets equivalent to the Way of the Dao realm here. For example, fireflies can stay on them to protect them at any time, while black phoenixes, silver unicorns, golden dragons, and puppet Wu Yu can stay here, especially the lifelike puppet Wu Yu, who can follow them out without any problem. The Lord of July City is only at the 10th level of the Way of the Dao realm, and has the same combat power level as puppet Wu Yu. Therefore, they have no safety issues in July City. They can make friends, practice, and take risks here. Generally speaking, unless their lives are in danger, Wu Yu will not let the puppets help casually. They still need opportunities for actual combat and training. Sir, I won't bother you anymore. Remember, you can always find me if you have any instructions. Wang Yanwu brought them here and left first. Wu Yu also gave him a spiritual tool as a reward. This was really generous to the point of being scary. It took them half a day to slowly get familiar with the heaven-swallowing record. Wu Yu was not in a hurry to leave. He gathered with Wu Yu and the others, walked around and chatted, and arranged their future life in July City. Wu Yu estimated that he would not leave the Gumo world for the time being, so if there was anything, he could just use the communication talisman. In the future, when you have to fight with the gods, you must stick to your original intention and don't forget who you are, Wu Yu said. Don't worry, sister. I'm very sober now, Wu Yu nodded. In fact, he could still feel that the breakthrough of the ancient emperor was too fast. Now the souls of both sides were very balanced, and Wu Yu even fell behind a lot. He now had a huge room for improvement. When Zhuying, Su Yanli, Yaolangju and Wu Yu were all settled here, before it got dark, Wu Yu decided to take them around July City to get familiar with it. July City is very large, with various trial places, various trading places, and various entertainment places, so Nanshan Wanjiao went out to fool around by himself. Anyway, Wu Yu estimated that he would leave here tomorrow. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. This guy is really a dog that can't change its eating habits, Yezixi said disdainfully. This is his Tao. Wu Yu smiled. Suddenly, he thought that his previous impulse to reproduce was so terrible. If he was really controlled by this impulse, he would probably be more extravagant than Nanshan Wanjiao. Coming to this magnificent world, Zhuying, Su Yanli and Wu Yu were particularly interested. They wanted to see everything and bought a lot of things. Seeing them gradually integrate into this world, Wu Yu felt much more relieved. They yearned for the life here, and of course, they yearned for becoming immortals even more. It was nearly 3 hours, and they hadn't turned around July City yet. This place was too big, but they had found some trial places and could come often in the future. Of course, they also bought some information about the ancient Ink world to facilitate their activities outside July City in the future. Those materials introduced the entire ancient ink world very clearly. In the blink of an eye, it was dark. Wu Yu saw that the golden sun was about to set, and the black sun had not yet appeared in the east, but there was already a large area of black on the horizon, and many shops were ready to close. No one would move throughout the night. They were also on their way back to the Tunchen mansion. As for Nanshan Wanjiao, there is nothing to worry about. Just call him when you leave. The pedestrians on the street are in a hurry, rushing to their residences. The night in this world still looks scary. Try not to go out at night in the future, Wu Yu said. Before he finished speaking, Wu Yu suddenly felt a strong vibration. They almost reached the central city of Julai. Not far away, they could see the building equivalent to the palace, the city lord's mansion. The vibration just now came from there. Gods? Ghosts? Wu Yu didn't expect that he would encounter such existence on the first day he came here. He was very curious about the gods and ghosts other than the ancient emperor, so he asked Yezixi to take them back first. Brother Yu, you have to be careful, Yezixi reminded. Yeah, in fact, there is nothing to be afraid of. He is now equivalent to swallowing the power of 2 demon gods. Even if he is counted as the first level of the eternal life fairyland, the level of the 1 Yuan Tianxian, he is still a little stronger than the ordinary 1 Yuan Tianxian. Wu Yu had just taken a few steps towards the city lord's mansion when the guy appeared directly. Above the city lord's mansion, a man in black appeared. He had a wide robe, was thin, had messy long hair, and had a terrible yin aura all over his body, as if he came from hell. That kind of eerie feeling was completely incomparable to ordinary ghost cultivators. Wu Yu was sure that this was not a god, but a ghost. When Wu Yu saw his face, he could confirm his identity. This person had a sinister face, dark green eyes, like a ghost, fierce and fierce. He was not ugly, but people dared not look directly into his eyes. That was a level beyond mortals, and on the same level as gods and demons. It was a transformation of life. At least the lifespan of 600 years has been increased to 129,600 years. Of course, this person has not been a god for 2,000 years. As long as he does not die, he still has endless years. Wu Yu knows him. The ancient world of Mo is controlled by some top-level super sects, which occupy territory and divide the world. Among them, the top sects must have ghosts and gods in charge. Julai City is protected by a sect called Slaughter God Religion. The leader of the Slaughter God Religion is a ghost god who still remains in the world. He has been a ghost god for more than 500 years and is still at the level of a 1 Yuan heavenly ghost. The Slaughter God Religion is not the top in the entire ancient world of Mo, but in the large territory nearby, the Slaughter God Religion leader Xiaostian is the emperor here, equivalent to the existence of the ancient emperor. There are at least hundreds of cities like Julai City, which are considered vassals of the Slaughter God Religion. I wonder what the Slaughter God Religion leader Xiaostian is doing in Julai City today? Before Wu Yu was curious, he saw that after Xiaostian arrived, the Julai City Lord came out in a panic and welcomed the arrival of the Slaughter God Religion leader before the black sun rose. Note: Wang Yanwu is a name provided by a book friend. The clothing review section from the Doubao store Feng Qingyang Studio. If you buy men's clothing now, you can also get a supporting role, and the appearance share depends mainly on whether the name is suitable for a long-term role. To read refreshing novels, go to Heaven Swallowing Record author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1237. The black sun gradually appeared in the east, and 1/3 of the sky was swallowed up by darkness. In this great world of Gu Mo, not a single star can be found, and the black sun can cover everything. The high-profile appearance of the god-killing cult master at the level of ghosts and gods is believed to be felt by not only the Lord of Julai City, but also by most of the powerful people in Julai City. The leader of the god-killing cult is a nightmare in the large territory nearby. Whenever he appears, the cultivators in the major cities can only hide. Only the city lord level is qualified to go up and talk to him. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Of course, July City Lord obviously didn't think this was a good thing. At least Wu Yu saw that she looked panicked, trembling slightly, and there was clearly a look of fear in her eyes. The Lord of July City is a woman. She has practiced Taoism for about 400 years, which is equivalent to a mortal in her 30s. She is the age of mature charm, with red lips and white teeth, smooth and tender skin, and a plump but exquisite figure. Such a gentle harbor is really she is a charming woman. However, in front of the black-robed Xiaostian, she was slightly panicked. Although her own realm was already at the 10th level of the Taoist realm, barely surviving the catastrophe of immortality, and only one level behind Xiaostian. This huge gap is as difficult as reaching the sky. Li Qer. Do you know why I came to you in person today? Xiaostian, the leader of the god-killing cult, stands proudly in the sky, with the posture of a ghost and god, as if he can control the darkness, destroy everything, and is completely superior to all mortals. The Lord of July City, Li Qer, was obedient and said, "Return to the leader, I know. But I hope the leader can give me a few days of grace. I will get it together right away. After I get it together, I will send it to the god-killing cult immediately." Of course Wu Yu knew the subject of their discussion. Rather than saying that July City is protected by the god-slaying cult, it is better to say that the god-slaying cult charges high protection fees every period of time, similar to the pilgrimage of all nations. However, the god-slaying cult is more ruthless. It's spicy. Despite the appearance of the July City Lord, he was actually oppressed by the god-slaying cult and had a lot of troubles. But there was no way, the god-slaying cult included this area into their territory, and after handing over the treasure, there was indeed no Xiao dares to come here to cause trouble. Haha, Li Qer, this isn't your first time, why don't you know my rules? Hearing the words of City Lord July, Xiaostian smiled, he stretched out his hand, and a burst of black mist condensed into a big black hand instantly controlled Li Qer. The big hand grabbed Li Qer's waist and lifted it towards the leader of the god-killing cult. Seeing the god-slaying cult taking action, many people in the city already screamed in surprise, and even more people trembled and hid. "Master! I really have no choice. I have gone out to fight on my own these years, but something happened recently, and the gift I just put together was used in other places, saving my Taoist companion's life. Otherwise I wouldn't." Li Qer's face turned pale, but she didn't dare to move. The leader of the god-killing cult sneered and said, "You know better, I never listen to explanations. If you delay once, you have to pay the price. If you delay twice, your July City can change its owner. Today is your first times, as for the price." This ghost pulled Li Qer in front of him, and his big black hands completely controlled him. His green eyes looked at Li Qer, then his eyes shone, and he said with a smile, "Since you can't give me a gift, then use your body to repay it. You have good ancestral blood, and you are quite a beauty, and you can catch my eye." As he said that, he stretched out a pair of claws from his robe. This was in public, and everyone in the city was watching. Xiaostian didn't hold back at all, and directly raised and lowered his hands, where Li Qer wreaking havoc on his body. "No. Leader," Li Qer twisted hard, her face turned pale with fright. "Stop!" At this moment, someone yelled from below, and a middle-aged man with a gentle appearance rushed up. His face was red and extremely angry, and he shouted at the god-killing leader, "Xiaostian! You have it's my fault to bring harm to women, what's the point of it? Husband, please leave quickly." Li Qer's face was already pale. When this middle-aged man appeared, she was so frightened that she trembled all over and shed tears. She knew the temper of the god-killing cult master, and nothing was negotiable. When he decided to invade Liquer, he would definitely do it. Liquer had already accepted his fate, and if this man suddenly rushed up at this time, he was definitely seeking death. The leader of Nalu God moved as fast as lightning. When the man rushed up and just finished speaking, he sneered and moved quickly. A black long sword suddenly appeared in his hand. The long sword swiped, as fast as lightning, and a streak of black shadow passed by, and the man who had just rushed up instantly exploded into pieces and disappeared into thin air. Husband. Liquer's voice was shrill, her throat was almost torn, her face was as white as a sheet of paper, she was devastated, her face was full of tears, looking at the debris in the sky. The years of staying together were all reduced to ashes at this time. I hate this kind of spoiler. The leader of the god-killing cult put away the long sword and spoke lightly, as if he had done an insignificant thing. Wu Yu could only say that ghosts and gods are indeed different from demons and gods. His attack just now was too fast, and Wu Yu couldn't stop him from a distance. He first entered this world. It's not convenient to show off at this time. But it was the sword he just used that opened Wu Yu's eyes. This is a magical weapon. Immortal weapon is what the Immortals call the magical weapon. The ancient soul tower is an immortal weapon, the magic eye is also an immortal weapon, and the floating life tower is probably also an immortal weapon. Immortal weapons also have strengths and weaknesses, but based on the knowledge of the person Wu Yu had devoured before, he only knew the name of the immortal weapon and was not very clear about the details. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. But he knew that the name of this immortal weapon was called God-killing. It was passed down from the God-killing sect for a long time and was owned by successive leaders. It was the key to the longevity of the God-killing section. It was said to be quite terrifying. Is the most precious thing in Xiaostian. Wu Yu was actually interested in this sword. The Yanfutian Zhu and the Yanhuang dragon seal were all belonging to the ancient emperor, and they were all taken away by him. Now, he has no weapons in his hands, which is a bit unaccustomed to him who has been using weapons all the time. I wonder if this ghost knows the way to the heavenly palace. Wu Yu now needs all the memories of a god or ghost. Only then can he understand this heavenly palace immortal realm better. He focused on the ghost Xiaostian. Here, Xiaostian was holding the Julai city lord who could not move and was heartbroken, and was about to enter the city lord's mansion to do something in front of everyone. With his indifferent expression and such a face, coupled with the fate of the Taoist monk Liquer just now, no one dares to go against the ghosts and gods, and now everyone has fled far away. Julai city is finished. I hope the city lord can persevere. After all, if it were someone else, it might not be so good. I have been buying a palace for 30 years in Julai city. They were miserable. Believe it or not, you will die today. At this moment, a black shadow suddenly appeared in front of Xiaostian's eyes, blocking his way. Someone in the black shadow spoke like a ghost. Who? Xiaostian was still surprised. He didn't expect that someone would talk to him like this in Julai city. The fog in front of him really confused him. In the mist, a pair of cyan eyes suddenly appeared. Those eyes looked at Xiaostian and said, I told you, you will die. These are the eyes of Xuanhuan. In fact, Wu Yu only has the power of 2 demon gods left. This does not mean that he will lose the magical powers of other demon gods. Although it is the power of 2 demon gods, it is actually part of the power of the previous 8 demon gods. Together, each demon god still has some parts left in him. This is King Huang's pupil magic. Pretend to be a ghost and seek death. Xiaostian had a bad temper and hated this kind of thing the most. He drew out the god killer again and wanted to kill Wu Yu, but Wu Yu disappeared in a flash and was far away immediately. If you have the guts, let's fight outside, Wu Yu said. You. Xiaostian was so angry that he smashed Liquer to the ground and continued to seal him on the ground with his black hands, making him unable to move. Then without saying a word, he immediately chased after Wu Yu. But Wu Yu showed the speed of a demon god and rushed out before the city gate closed. Xiaostian also chased after him. At this time, the golden sun had completely set and the black sun had completely risen. The whole world, suddenly entered the dark age. Save the city lord quickly, many people surrounded him, but once they got close, even if they were in the realm of asking, they were immediately torn into pieces by the black hands. Li Qer was still under control, and she didn't even resist. She was pressed to the ground as if she was a walking zombie, staring blankly at the sky. Maybe she thought that Xiaostian would come back before long, and would completely ignore her face and execute her on the spot according to the rules he set. But now that her husband is dead, there is no comparison. This is more painful. God-killing cult. Xiaostian. City Lord Julai gritted her teeth, then let go and cried bitterly, because she knew that this was a world dominated by ghosts and gods. They made the rules, and she was under the rules. Once she fails to meet the requirements, there will be such disastrous consequences, but she is lucky enough. She thinks she deserves everything she gets now. It's over. It's impossible to become an immortal, and it's impossible to live. She didn't know that Wu Yu and Xiaostian had gone deep into the wilderness in this dead night. There are dark jungles everywhere here, as quiet as death, with no one around. It's a dark and windy murderous night. Who the hell are you? Xiaostian intercepted in front of him and looked at Wu Yu with an unkind expression. Me, Wu Yu didn't know anymore. When he saw Xiaostian, he found that he was still hungry. After the hunger appeared, it grew rapidly. Maybe he opened this hole himself, which made him more and more hungry. See, Xiaostian's eyes turned completely red. Starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, there will be a live broadcast event in Xiaomi Live. At that time, readers of 5 authors will hold a lottery, with a total of 9 grand prizes. This is also a big competition for the popularity of the 5 authors, and Madman is one of them. I hope everyone first download a Xiaomi Live app, then enter the room number before broadcasting. When the time comes, please help refresh the screen for the 3 keywords Feng Qing Yang, Dragon Blood God of War and Swallowing the Sky, win big prize Heaven Swallowing Record Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1238. The feeling of hunger penetrated deep into the bone marrow. Perhaps it was because the body of the Heaven Devourer had reached a new realm, and whether it was awake or not was slightly different from the previous body balance. It was not a big deal when he was awake on weekdays. Now that there was prey in front of him, he remembered that he had been hungry for a while. However, Xiao Yuntian, the leader of the god-slaying sect, did not have a particularly clear understanding of Wu Yu's hunger and killing. After all, he did not understand the Heaven Devourer. Are you an immortal? A ghost? Or a demon god? Don't demon gods go to the demon god realm? Xiao Yuntian's eyes were cold. As a ghost god, and in this dark night, it was extremely dark. Even if he did not fight, large areas of the surrounding territory seemed to fall into his control. Endless yin qi permeated under the ground and continued to rise. A large number of wronged souls cried around. Those yin qi were like a pair of rotten hands, touching Wu Yu's body. Wu Yu could not help it. His humanoid body with white hair and bloodshot eyes began to change at this moment, from a human to a giant beast that swallowed the sky. Xiao Yuntian watched with his own eyes as Wu Yu's giant beast appeared. He saw the thick black scales, the white horn, the blood-red eyes, the thick arms and sharp claws, and the rows of sharp teeth. It was rare for such a ferocious beast to be as strong as Wu Yu. Demon God. The leader of the god-killing cult was a little surprised. According to his understanding, even if a demon became a demon god, he would immediately go to the demon god realm. How could he appear here? Wu Yu now had too much demonic energy, so it was natural for him to be considered a demon god. If he swallowed a lot of immortals or immortal beasts, He might look fierce, but he would still be considered a kind of immortal beast. No matter what you are, don't pretend to be so arrogant. If you dare to come to my territory and provoke me like this, you must be prepared to be slaughtered by me. Xuanhuan took a deep breath. In his hand was the immortal weapon God-killing. It is said that there is an immortal formation among them. It is called God-killing immortal formation. Immortal formation is an immortal formation. It is said that each immortal formation is at least equivalent to the aggregation of millions of formations. It is a formation diagram drawn by immortals, and it is not at the same level as the formation. Wu Yu does not have a deep understanding of the immortal formation for the time being. But that immortal formation is definitely several times more profound than the top formation. For Wu Yu, it is a brand new field. He only needs to know that this God-killing is the same as the ancient Soul Tower, the Phantom Demon Eye, etc., and its power is extraordinary. The Yamabu Heavenly Pillar has millions of formations, but compared with the God-killing, it is not at the same level. It is equivalent to that. No matter how strong the chickens and ducks are, they can't fight against the little tiger. This immortal sword, if you look at it a few more times, Wu Yu will feel numb all over. It seems that you are from another big world. Outsiders, you dare to be arrogant in our territory, you really don't know whether you live or die. Xuanhuan smiled contemptuously, but his hands were not vague, and he directly killed him with the immortal weapon Slaughter God. Wu Yu's body of swallowing the sky has fought with the ancient emperor and swallowed 8 demon gods. Facing this one Yuan heavenly ghost, he actually had only indifference and hunger. Wu Yu vaguely knew that the way to use the immortal array is not quite the same as the way to use the magic array. Because immortal weapons generally have only one complete immortal array, judging from the amount of knowledge swallowed by that person last time, it should be the case at present, but Wu Yu does not rule out other possibilities. And the immortal array in the immortal weapon contains everything. For example, this Slaughter God and immortal array already contains everything, for example, the immortal weapon attack. Dao weapons all have attack magic arrays, which belong to a module of all the magic arrays of Dao weapons, and in the immortal array, everything is a whole. At the same time, it seems that his own immortal essence is mixed with immortal magic, which can make more mysterious use of the immortal weapon, rather than directly triggering the magic array like the Taoist weapon. In other words, there may not be a fixed attack magic array in the immortal weapon, but it can complement the user and even greatly enhance the power of its immortal magic. At this time, Xuanhuan raised his sword to kill, and for a moment, the ghost energy and yin energy burst out, and endless darkness gathered in the sword. The ghost essence of the ghost god far exceeded the purple mansion energy and was introduced into the immortal array. For a moment, the world was turbulent, and large areas of soil and forests were all turned into ashes. The dark gray spread over the earth. A sword swept across, and everything he saw fell into a hellish disaster. The sword light swept in front of Wu Yu's eyes, and instantly killed into his body, sinking into his flesh and blood. For a moment, endless sword light spread all over his body. Wu Yu's body was quickly infected with gray at a speed visible to the naked eye. It seemed that the flesh and blood were about to necrotize immediately, and the huge body was about to collapse. Even the blood-red eyes were swallowed by the gray sword energy. Haha, I didn't expect you to be so vulnerable. Xuanhuan didn't expect that Wu Yu couldn't dodge or resist, but was directly hit, so he put away his sword and laughed. But he didn't expect that at this moment, Wu Yu's eyes on the swallowing body first quickly turned blood-red, and then the gray on his body began to be forced back, going to Wu Yu's mouth. His flesh and blood instantly recovered to the previous level and became vigorous, and the gray was suppressed near his mouth like a ferocious beast. At this time, Wu Yu suddenly opened his mouth and sprayed out a gray sword energy, which was stronger than before, and there was a lot of black in it. Whoosh! This gray-black sword energy is even more powerful. Xuanhuan was laughing, but suddenly he felt a disaster was imminent. He swore that he had never thought that something like this would happen in his life. His sword of God-killing intent seemed to have invaded Wu Yu's body, causing his flesh and blood to collapse and rot. It seemed that his whole body had been destroyed by the sword of God-killing intent, but the next moment, time seemed to flow backwards, and those destroyed bodies suddenly recovered, and the sword of God-killing intent was completely forced out. What was even more terrifying was that the sword of God-killing intent was actually out of his control, and had a stronger posture to counterattack him. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. And all this happened in an instant. When he reacted and was in great shock, the sword of God-killing intent had already killed him in front of him. What was even more terrifying was that Wu Yu's violent attack followed closely. Blazing mirror. It was unimaginable that Xiao Yuntian saw that Wu Yu's giant beast's hands suddenly turned into transparent trees, and those branches instantly combined together and turned into a mirror. At the moment when the mirror was formed, the sword of God-killing intent once again killed him in front of him. This is the magical power of the spiritual realm demon tree, blazing mirror. The mirror was formed, and the light burst out. It could be seen from far away. In the deep night dominated by the black sun, a white light burst out instantly, engulfing Xiao Yuntian at a terrifying speed. He was resisting the rebellious sword intent of killing the gods. The light of the blazing mirror, the strong heat, melted everything, including his eyes, and definitely made Xiao Yuntian suffer a double attack at once, one of which was his own. Julai City in the distance was in a state of panic. Suddenly, they saw the strong light in the sky, and vaguely, they seemed to hear screams. They thought it was the scream of the provocateur, and of course they were even more afraid. In Julai City, Princess Yuyan and others could feel the violent turmoil in the city. If it were not for the night, it is estimated that many people would have fled. The hungry Wu Yu would be even crazier than Xiao Yuntian imagined. Hell blood. The arms of its swallowing beast turned into branches of the spirit realm demon tree, as if the spirit realm demon tree grew on its body. The demon tree in the spiritual realm maintained its violent impact. A moment later, Wu Yu's huge legs suddenly turned into countless blood vessels. That was the body of the Red Devil. As soon as they appeared, they were densely packed, all like Wu Yu's body, rushing into the ground, tearing the soil easily, piercing from the bottom to the top, and entering the attack range of the blazing mirror. Outsiders could not see it, but Wu Yu himself knew that those blood vessels continued to split, and eventually turned into millions of blood-red, hair-thick blood threads, rushing out from the ground, most of which passed through Xiao Yuntian's body. And Xiao Yuntian, who was already under the attack of the god-killing sword intent and the blazing mirror, could not resist for a while and fell into a struggle. This magical power of hell blood threads can be said to be a one-shot kill. Who are you? Xiao Yuntian didn't remember what enemies he had in other worlds. If he couldn't defeat himself, he must kill himself. It is not easy to cultivate into a ghost god. Generally speaking, local gods and ghosts will basically not fight each other. At most, they will teach each other a lesson. Foreign gods and ghosts dare not kill people casually, so he actually did not expect that he would die. However, at the last moment when the ghost's soul was torn apart and penetrated by Wu Yu, even if he knew it, it was too late. In the end, he saw Wu Yu's blood-red eyes. Whether it was the fragments of the ghost's soul or the body of the sky ghost, they instantly fell into Wu Yu's mouth and were swallowed by him. The blazing mirror dissipated, and his hands and feet turned back into the sky-devouring beast, and then turned into a human form with white hair and bloodshot eyes. Wu Yu quickly left the battlefield and went to another place to digest. He was very satisfied. The hunger finally disappeared. He was calmer than ever before. He was decomposing the ghost soul, digesting the body of the sky ghost, absorbing the essence, and at the same time absorbing the other party's Tao, divine power and memory, especially the memory part, which Wu Yu was hungry and needed. Because he knew too little about this heavenly palace fairyland. He wanted to know how to enter the heavenly palace. Xuanhuan didn't know that this was the reason why Wu Yu had to kill him. Devouring is a terrible thing, especially the devouring of the heaven-devouring body. Wu Yu now feels that he is like a unique existence in this world, an accident. Others belong to this world. And he always has a feeling of being equal to this world, or even superior to this world. Of course, this is just a feeling. The website helps 5 authors promote their works, and Crazy is one of them. The event is held on Xiaomi Live. Please help download Xiaomi Live. A beautiful woman will start live broadcasting at 8 p.m. There will be 3 rounds of 9 big prizes. Lottery. Please support Crazy and help swipe the screen for Tunshan Ji. Remember to download it. Open the search for the live broadcast account. The first search result is Xiaomi App Store. Click it and you will see the live broadcast room. It's time to test Crazy's popularity. I hope everyone will swipe the screen more and draw a lottery. There will be 3 updates today. The second update will be at 1800 hours in the afternoon, and the third update will be at 2000 hours in the evening. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1239. This was the first ghost Wu Yu devoured. However, it didn't take too much time for Xuanhuan, the leader of the god-slaying sect, to vanish into thin air. His life was completely used by Wu Yu. Wu Yu removed most of the useless memories and only kept those about gods, ghosts, the world, and cultivation. This was the essence for him. A ghost was considered to be a more balanced nutrition for him. Ghosts didn't have as much blood and flesh essence as demons, but they were very particular about the perception of Tao and the use of ghost Yuan. Wu Yu's swallowing body was different from his original body. No matter what Tao it was, he took it all. Although it was just a 1 Yuan sky ghost, the help it brought to Wu Yu was still quite great. His understanding of the entire Gumo world had surpassed most people in this world, and he even knew the history of this place clearly. He also knew who the more than 100 gods and ghosts here were. He knew which gods and ghosts were stronger, what realm the strongest was in, and what they were good at. Wu Yu now knew everything that the god-killing cult master knew. He wanted to simulate the god-killing cult master, and no one in the entire Gumo world could tell the difference. And most importantly, he got the answer he wanted to know. That is, how can one go to the heavenly palace? In the past, he knew there was a way, which was, ascending. And now, he knew another specific method. That is, when the guardian gods of each small world are appointed, or decide to become small world guardian gods, the heavenly court will issue a heavenly palace ladder, which can lead directly from the small world to a specific heavenly palace. For example, the ancient Emperor Yanhuang must have a heavenly palace ladder leading to the genuine heavenly palace, so that Wu Yu's body can be taken up. Of course, as a guardian god of a small world, he naturally cannot always return to the heavenly palace. It seems that each heavenly palace ladder can only be used once at a specific time, which may be 10 years or 100 years, depending on each god. And the time spent in the heavenly palace cannot be too long, generally speaking, it cannot exceed 1 year. Xuanhuan didn't know much about genuine heavenly palace. He only knew some things about the 10,000 hells. So Wu Yu didn't know which level of heavenly palace genuine heavenly palace was. He might have to devour a god to find out. However, he thought of a direct way to go to genuine heavenly palace. First, hijack the gods guarding the small worlds of other worlds, or even devour them directly, transform them into him, go to the heavenly palace first, and then look for genuine heavenly palace. Second, this is the way Wu Yu prefers. He knows that the body of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang will eventually return to the world of Yanfu. Then, if he has enough strength to devour and kill the body of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang, he can naturally go directly to Jinyuan Heavenly Palace through the Heavenly Palace ladder. After all, the 8,000 heavenly palaces are so big, and going directly to Jinyuan Heavenly Palace may help you know your body faster. Although there is no way to crack the method of wrongs in possession immortal for the time being, it is also necessary to control the body first. From the perspective of revenge, Wu Yu certainly prefers the second one. He always wants the ancient emperor to pay the price. There are two problems with this method. First, he didn't know when his heavenly palace ladder would be able to reach Jinyuan Heavenly Palace next time. If it was too long, Wu Yu couldn't wait. Second, he didn't know what the strength of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang was, so he couldn't be sure when he would definitely crush him. Anyway, it didn't work even after swallowing 8 demon gods last time. But even with these problems, Wu Yu was still willing to try the second method first. If not for anything else, just to make the ancient emperor lose his body first. He had already set a goal. Whoosh! The Godslayer flew into his hands. He didn't even need to sacrifice it again, this immortal weapon had already become his. Wu Yu also knew clearly about the immortal weapon. Although Xiao Yuntian knew only a little about the real heavenly palace hell, he still had some understanding of ordinary immortal weapons and immortal formations. Of course, as ghost cultivators, they preferred to call it ghost immortal weapon or ghost immortal formation. Each immortal formation was at least a collection of millions of magic formations, and some were even a collection of tens of millions of magic formations. However, the special feature of the immortal formation is that it integrates these fragmented formations into one, and each effect can use all the power of the immortal formation. The formation is perfectly integrated, just like the upgrade of life level from mortal to immortal. Wu Yu can directly use this killing god perfectly like Xiao Yuntian. Before, to get a Taoist weapon, you need to sacrifice and refine it, and be familiar with the formation. But now, you only need to devour the opponent to get everything. Swallow, what kind of terrible existence is this? With swallowing, is there any meaning in practicing Taoism? He does not practice Taoism now, but only kills, and he can get everything he worked hard for before. It can even be said that the hard practice in the past is meaningless. If the swallowing of the sky-swallowing beast really has no upper limit, then even the Tao of the top immortals can be directly obtained by me. I have countless Taos that can be gathered together and finally know everything. How is this inferior to the hard work of getting your own Tao? When Wu Yu was left with only the body of the sky-swallowing beast, he was amazed at the horror of the body of the sky-swallowing beast again and again. It even somewhat subverted everything he had imagined before. For example, now, he has 8 demon gods and a complete Tao of ghosts and gods. These are enough to make them demon gods and ghost gods. However, Wu Yu can use them easily without being affected at all. Wu Yu will only sum them up. Reference, use, but the body of swallowing the sky does not fall into their memory and Tao, and becomes themselves. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. This kind of devouring is unimaginable. Wu Yu digested them so cleanly that their consciousness was gone, but their Tao became something that Wu Yu could call upon and use without being affected. Wu Yu even had another feeling. After seeing so many Tao, he felt that a person's Tao was not that important. A person's Tao was always separate, limited, and belonged to a certain field, such as the Tao before his own body. That's it, but only the way that understands everything and gathers everything is the way of heaven and this world. Why do I have such terrible thoughts? Could it be that swallowing can make me become this world and the way of heaven? Wu Yu was a little creepy. He looked at his body, a little confused, because it was so scary that he even scared himself. Lived. He actually had a bit of contempt for his previous Tao, which he felt was too single and one-sided. The other people's ways all have merits. The sky-swallowing body can extract their essences and bring them together, gradually allowing him to realize more things that he could not realize before. And he doesn't need to practice, nor does he need to pursue it hard. Should we practice hard on our own and experience everything, or should we swallow everything, explore the world, and become the way of heaven? Wu Yu fell into doubt. But no matter what, now that the god-slaying cult leader is dead, Julai City is no longer a threat. He is now the god-slaying cult leader. Go back and settle the mess with the god-slaying cult leader, so that people won't think that the god-slaying cult leader is dead, and then you can get on your way. For the goal, for revenge. He transformed into the leader of the god-slaying cult, and it was exactly the same from beginning to end. Now that the sun was dark in the sky, Wu Yu came to Julai City again. Of course, the Julai City's protective formation couldn't stop him. When he reappeared, the sky above the city lord's mansion brought despair. In the city lord's mansion, most of the people have escaped. Most of them are far away. Only the city lord, Li He, is sitting on the ground, waiting for the reveal of her fate. She holds a sword in her hand. Her husband's relics, now she is pale all over, and she is in a state of despair. She may be worse off than dead. The entire city lord's mansion was filled with deathly silence. The god-killing cult leader, with a very high profile, passed through the city protecting formation and arrived at the city lord's palace. Many people saw it and knew that the mysterious person before did not pose a threat to him, and he was unharmed. Then, he entered the city lord's palace, and everyone knew that Li He was doomed. People can only hope that she can survive, otherwise Julai City will lose its stability and many people will be in trouble. So now is a time when people are panicked and miserable. Li Yi raised her head and saw the god-killing cult master. Her face was pale and she was not very surprised now. She knew what would happen next, but she didn't care because she knew that resistance was useless and she wanted revenge. I must endure this cruel humiliation today. Husband, I'm sorry, I can't die. I can't swallow this breath. One day, I will cut him into pieces, and I will face the catastrophe of immortality, Li He secretly swore in his heart. Nowadays, I feel pity for such a charming beauty. She completely surrenders to herself and looks resigned. Wu Yu's eyes swept over her snow-white skin. Such curves are also stunning in the world. Not surprisingly, the urge to reproduce came again. To say that the body that swallows the sky is not as good as the original body, it is here. It is really difficult to control that kind of desire. Such a woman has completely surrendered. She has already thought about what will happen and is ready. This is a greater temptation for Wu Yu. However, it may be that the other party was slightly older and a little worse than Yu Ling-ao, so he still had difficulty in controlling himself, but the blood-colored eyes, when he got close to her, Li Yi's eyes widened. Conquered by its aura, she never expected that the god-killing cult leader would really be so attractive. Let people even forget that he is an enemy and be willing to cater to him. Impossible. Impossible. Her physical body's reaction was very clear, but she didn't want to believe it. Of course, what she didn't expect was that before her eyes, the god-slaying cult leader changed and turned into a strange young man with white hair and blood-eyed eyes. This appearance was what really had a fatal attraction for her, making her almost unable to control herself. Look like I have already killed him to avenge you. However, if I hear rumors outside that the god-slaying cult leader is dead, I will come back to take your life. Because from now on, I will be the god-slaying cult leader. Wu Yu gritted his teeth and finished speaking quickly, then turned around and left, disappearing into the dark night in the blink of an eye. Li Yi was left paralyzed on the ground, with tears in her eyes, heavy breathing, her towering chest rising and falling, covered in hot sweat. The website promotes the works of 5 authors, and Fengzi is one of them. The event is held on Xiaomi Live. Please help download Xiaomi Live. A beautiful lady will start live broadcasting at 8 p.m. There will be 3 rounds of 9 grand prizes. Lucky draw. Please support Fengzi and help swipe the screen for Tunchenji. Remember to download it. Open the search for the live broadcast account. The first search result is Xiaomi App Store. Click it and you will see the live broadcast room. It's time to test Fengzi's popularity. I hope everyone will swipe the screen more and draw the lucky draw. There will be 3 updates today. The third update will be at 20:00 p.m. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1240. The reason for the high-profile appearance is to let people know that Xiaostian, the leader of the god-killing cult, is not dead. Even though the Lord of Julai City knew the truth, judging from the oppression Wu Yu brought to her, she didn't dare to say anything. And no matter what, Wu Yu is her benefactor. Although even the appearance of a strange young man with white hair and bloody eyes made her deeply afraid and surrendered. But the benefactor was a benefactor after all. Looking back calmly afterwards, she would thank Wu Yu. Wu Yu returned to Tunchen Mansion. As soon as they saw it was him, everyone knew that he had become devoured again this time. Sister, we will set off tomorrow morning. We will not leave the Gumo world for the time being. If I leave, I will tell you in advance. From now on, you can just practice Taoism in this Gumo world with peace of mind. Good. Wu Yu brought Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi with him. The two of them do not affect Wu Yu at all, because they can practice in the Fusion Tower, which has 10 times the time, and come out occasionally. The floating life tower will absorb the spiritual energy of this world and achieve internal and external balance. They are equivalent to being in a great spiritual energy and having 10 times as much time, 1 year outside and 10 years inside. Enough for them to practice Taoism. And if you want to figure it out, just tell Wu Yu. Wu Yu, on the other hand, left almost all the puppets in Tunchen Mansion and with Lord Yuxun and the others. In fact, Wu Yu would come back often as long as he was still in the Gumo world, so they didn't have to worry too much about separation. Early the next morning, when the golden sun came again, the Lord of Julai City had announced that Julai City had returned to normal. Many people who wanted to leave saw the good condition of the Julai City Lord and finally did not leave. Nanshan spent the whole night looking at the moon and came back at dawn. He said with emotion, I used to think you were too perverted and couldn't keep up with your cultivation speed. Now it's better. I have 10 times as much time, but in terms of the speed of becoming stronger, you are still far behind. Not as good as you, what a cheater. He was actually almost at his limit. But in this world, or even in this heavenly palace immortal realm, who can compare with Wu Yu's sky-devouring body? The golden sun was in the sky. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were practicing hard at the Fusion Pagoda in 10 times the time, while Wu Yu was walking alone with white hair and blood-stained eyes. He is extremely familiar with the world of Gumo and other gods, immortals, and ghosts. What kind of deeds does each person have? What sinful things have you done? Wu Yu is now like a judge. He will come to those ghosts, gods, or gods who have betrayed their conscience one by one. For the time being, he remains rational. His targets will only be cruel and evil people who have done bloody things, or his enemies who actively want to kill him. He will not extend his claws to some innocent gods who are dedicated to cultivating Taoism. That is his bottom line. He can still control himself now. The great world of Gumo is extremely huge. In fact, this world does not have any ocean part, it is all land, so it is actually terrifyingly big. The territory controlled by the leader of the slaughter god is almost the same as that of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, which has 3 continents. As for the leader of the god-killing cult, he is actually a declining ghost and god on the fringes. Now, he is gradually approaching the center of the Gumo world. Without the body, without the somersault cloud, he is still faster than before, because now he has the power of 3 1 UN celestial immortal levels. He has already locked his second target in the great world of Guo. This time, it was a god. As Wu Yu expected, not all immortals are kind-hearted people. Even those who practice the way of immortals may be extremely evil people, and even the great catastrophe of the immortal way has not been able to kill them. There are more gods and goddesses in the ancient Mo world. Although most of the ghosts and gods are extremely evil people, this does not mean that among the hundreds of gods and goddesses, there is no such group. Judging from Wu Yu's current understanding, at least 5 points one of them is a heinous one. They became immortals only by using cruel and inhumane methods. The place Wu Yu is currently targeting is called the Galaxy Sword Sect. The area controlled by the Galaxy Sword Sect is twice as large as that of the God-slaying cult, and is closer to the core of the ancient Mo world. The Galaxy Sword Sect is built on high mountains, and there are 3,000 huge mountains in that area, known as the 3,000 Star Veins. There are gods in the Galaxy Sword Sect now. Forces without immortals are actually quite dangerous. Historically, there have been too many sects in the ancient Mo world. The old immortals must ascend, and new immortals have not yet appeared, resulting in the sects being destroyed and the areas under their control occupied. Today, the founder of the Galaxy Sword Sect is named Tianhe Sword Immortal. He is an immortal who is close to ascending. After 2,000 years of practice, he has not yet broken through to the realm of duality. This Tianhe Sword Immortal is famous for killing, has a fiery temper, and is as good with ghosts as fire and water. Therefore, in the memory of the leader of the god-killing cult, he is the strongest opponent. This person reminds Wu Yu of Xuanhuan Immortal Sect and Nangong Wei's father, Qiang Sword Immortal. Although the 7 immortals of Shu Mountain are not real immortals, they are thousands of miles away from the Tianhe Sword Immortal. But their ways are relatively similar. The Qiang Sword Immortal and the demons are as powerful as water and fire, but the Tianhe Sword Immortal, the demons and ghost cultivators are all as powerful as water and fire, and when they kill, they never care about good or bad. Whenever they encounter them, they will kill them without suspicion. Over the past 2,000 years, Tianhe Sword Immortal has killed millions of demons and ghost cultivators. As a result, ghost cultivators and demons are now almost extinct in the galaxy region. No ghost cultivators or demons dare to enter here. Once a demon opens his spiritual wisdom here, he will flee quickly. Of course, Tianhe Sword Immortal was not satisfied. His disciples went deep into the places controlled by other sections as long as they were ghost cultivators and demons, especially demons, because they had no demon gods to protect them. They were basically killed without exception. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The leader of the god-killing cult knew that there were still more than 100,000 ghost cultivators and demons imprisoned within the Galaxy Sword section. Every once in a while, the Tianhe Sword Immortal sacrificed their blood and corpses to the sky and killed them every day. Today, the Zinc Sword sect is still surging with sword energy, and the monks are practicing sword practice. This place is like a Xuanhuan Immortal sect enlarged countless times. Basically, they are all disciples of Yuan-Shen realm and Taoist realm, including the mountain guarding formation. They all have countless weights, but none of them can stop Wu Yu. It should be said that Xiaostian, the leader of the god-killing cult, cannot be stopped. At this time, Wu Yu held the killing god and came to kill Xiaostian. In fact, in the ancient Mo world, gods and ghosts all know each other, and everyone acts within a rule that everyone agrees to ensure the peace of the ancient Mo world, and sometimes they will unite to defend against foreign enemies. They will not fight against each other. There is too much conflict. So today, the leader of the god-killing cult suddenly came to kill him, which was extremely rare for the people of the Galaxy Sword sect. Old Ghost Tianhe, get out of here quickly, I'm going to kill you today. Wu Yu towered over the Galaxy Sword sect with a loud voice that made the entire Sword sect tremble. Wu Yu saw one of the huge palaces called Sword Slaughter Palace. There are more than 100,000 demons imprisoned inside. Tianhe Sword Immortal kills demons and ghost cultivators here every day to maintain the edge and murderous intent of his Tao. And his disciples searched the world for demons and ghost cultivators. Of course, because ghost cultivators are protected by ghosts and gods, the ghost cultivators they find are basically the kind who have no backing and are not very strong themselves. What Tianhe Sword Immortal wants is killing, no matter what realm he is in. As long as it's alive. Although they were killing like this, they did not feel any pressure in their hearts, because they believed that they were doing justice for heaven and upholding justice. This is the tradition of the Galaxy Sword sect since its history. Without saying a word, Wu Yu first opened the sword-killing palace. The magic circle was like a torn stone in his hands. After opening it, there were more than 100,000 demons and ghost cultivators inside, miserable, and every one of them had pale faces. Screaming and running away, scared to death. Before they could react, Wu Yu summoned a dark cloud, wrapped it around them, and threw them out, saying, "Flee as far as you can." For them who witnessed death every day, Wu Yu's salvation came too suddenly. When they were scattered among the 3,000 star veins, they were all stunned for a long time. At this time, someone recognized Wu Yu. When word spread, people knew that this was the god-killing cult leader. "Thank you so much, Lord Killer of Gods." The ferocious god-killing leader became the savior at this time. After people thanked him, they knew that the people of the Galaxy Sword sect would come out immediately, so they fled quickly and dispersed in a swarm. "What idiot, dare to go against me?" At this time, there was an earth-shattering curse. He Xuanhuan was not in the sect that day, but rushed back from other places. When he came back, he saw that the leader of the god-killing cult had put his own. The sword-killing palace was all taken away, and he was so angry that he suddenly burst into flames. "Xuanhuan, are you out of your mind? Or do you think I can't kill you? Who told you to take care of my business? You have forgotten the Gumo discipline." Of course Wu Yu has not forgotten the ancient ink rules. This is an agreement between their gods and ghosts, not to interfere with each other, not to do anything to each other, and to live in peace and protect their descendants for 2,000 years. But Wu Yu is not the leader of the god-slaying cult. He laughed and said, "I just did what I should do, Tianhe Sword Immortal. If you do too much injustice, you will die. You are a dignified Taoist, you have such a murderous intention, and the great catastrophe of the immortal way has not destroyed you. It is really miracle. I will not accompany you." After saying that, he laughed 3 times and left quickly. "I want to leave. I'll leave you an arm." Of course Tianhe Sword Immortal, who was so humiliated and had a hot temper, would not give up. He chased Wu Yu, left the dense crowd, and chased him all the way. When he reached a wilderness, Wu Yu stopped. On that day, He Xuanhuan was a standard 1 UN heavenly immortal. In 2000 years, he had not been able to break through to the second level of the immortal realm. He also has an immortal weapon in his hand, which is better than the killing god. It is called the 3000 Heavenly River Giant Sword. This is also the most precious treasure of the Galaxy Sword section. They cannot take this immortal weapon with them when they ascend in the future. This immortal weapon is inherited. It's been a long time. It is the foundation of the Galaxy Sword sect. The website helps 5 authors to promote their works, and Madman is one of them. The event is held at Xiaomi Live. Please help the next Xiaomi Live. Now there is a live broadcast of Big Beauties, and there are 9 grand prizes in 3 rounds. Lottery. Please support the Madman and help refresh the screen swallowing the sky. Remember to download it and open the search for the live broadcast account. The first search result is called Xiaomi App Store. Click on it and you will be in the live broadcast room. The time has come to test the popularity of Madman. I hope everyone will keep swiping the screen and take part in the lottery.